Welcome to I Said What I Said, a sports podcast with opinions not heard anywhere else. I am your host, Brad Wakai, coming to you from Brooklyn, New York. That is my co-host, Tyson Gentry, coming to you from Missoula, Montana. And Tyson, it's finally here. We're breaking down the NBA Finals and giving our preview. We're going to give out some best bets. We got a lot to discuss.
Bro, we could have done this like a week and a half ago when it was 3-0, 3-0, and we would have just had to let this sit in the chamber for a while. But, they teased us and they toyed with us, but we got the matchup we all thought we were going to get.
Absolutely. Both up 3-0. Nuggets said conventionally, and the Heat got a little sweaty at the end, but here we are. We have the Denver Nuggets taking on the Miami Heat. A lot to discuss. I think we talk about different angles. So first, let's start just breaking this down. Let's just talk a little shop here. Let's talk some ball. I think it's going to be interesting when you look at rest versus rust to start. Or is the time off that the Nuggets haven't been playing competitive basketball going to hurt them early compared to the Heat, who are going to be fatigued coming off of a 7-game series when they really had to fight and scrap to close it out? That's what I'm paying attention to early.
I don't think rest exists to some extent at this point in the NBA. Like these guys have played 100 games. Like everybody's tired. Doesn't matter whether you played last night or a week ago. Obviously, the Nuggets we would assume have fresher legs, but we got to pay some respect to that Miami Heat cardio. I mean, this is what they're built for, right? So I don't think that matters so much. But like, what do you think? Personally, I've never bought into the rest thing. The only time I get into that is like with fighting.
We can get into a couple angles when we get into Money Makin Time, but I think early on it's going to do a little bit more for Denver to kind of get themselves into the series. Like I think Miami will still be coming off of the high of the win. They're going to turn around like, okay, we're here. It's a quick turnaround, so it's not like they're really sitting for long. But another thing to pay attention to here is Tyson is the altitude. We're going to be going from altitude to sea level, potentially back to altitude, but maybe if we're lucky, down to sea level again. That's going to be extremely interesting. Obviously, advantage in that case goes to the Nuggets. Denver on a quick Miami on a quick turnaround has to go to Denver. They're going to have to play. Then they're going to be sitting around. They're going to get probably a little bit more used to altitude for game 2, but then they got to go right back down to sea level. Like that's what I think people are missing a little bit when we talk about all this and the travel and everything.
And the fact the Nuggets are undefeated at home, are the best home team over the course of the last decade. None of those things sound very good for Miami.
Absolutely not. So I know you looked at some stats, some trends or some other potential things coming into the series. Why don't you go ahead and share that with everybody?
Well, first, I mean, I think everybody knows this by now, but the Nuggets are 9-1 against the Miami Heat in the last 5 years. Pretty good. That's pretty decent. It's telling is really what it is. But some other notes I have here. So who's going to guard Jimmy Butler? That's a question people are having. Aaron Gordon is the best Jimmy Butler defender in the world. When Jimmy Butler goes again, and it's not the biggest sample size because obviously these guys haven't had to play each other all that much, especially the last couple of years. Jimmy averages 11.4 points per 100 plays when Aaron Gordon is his primary defender. His lowest against anybody else in the NBA is 17.9 points over 100 plays. So Aaron Gordon locks him down. Jimmy Butler shoots 26% effective field goal percentage against Aaron Gordon. That's ridiculous. That's crazy because we're talking about playoff Jimmy and all of a sudden he's reaching like mythical heights. And if he pulls this off, this is like move aside, Dirk. This is the greatest ring probably of all time. But just the fact that not only does Denver have superstars, but they have role players who know their role really well, but can get after you just like Miami wants to get after you with theirs. I think that's kind of a swept under the rug part of this. Like we all talk about Miami being tough and everything. You're sitting there in Brooklyn. Where's Mike Malone from?
He's from New York.
Tough.
Yep. And apparently we have to be calling him Michael Malone, Tyson, or else he will come kick our ass. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, he can come out here if he wants. That's fine. Handshake or whatever, I'll be good. But
he's closer to you than me. I'd be nervous if I was you.
Look, I get to meet him and then get my ass kicked, so it works out just fine for me.
That's a good point. Good story.
A couple other thoughts I have here. I don't know if you want me to rapid fire these, but
yeah, please.
Some things that I know are going to happen in the series. I know that the Heat aren't going to switch Bam Adebayo off Nikola Jokic. I know that the Heat aren't going to blitz Jokic off a pick and roll. I know they're not going to double him in the post because they don't do those things. They don't do those things when they play Jokic. They don't do those things when they play anybody. And as maybe if it really, really, really doesn't work and Jokic is getting 50 a game, then Spoelstra will reevaluate and kind of go. But this isn't like a against Boston, how Spo can all of a sudden switch to switching pick and rolls like crazy, all that stuff that he kind of hid up his sleeve. This is like who the Miami Heat are. Like this is our guy. Beat him. Dare ya. Good luck. The other part that I know, Miami's going to try to run the zone. And that's just a simple entry pass to the free throw line. Jokic finds a shooter. Denver is shooting lights out. I know that the Nuggets are going to try to hide Jamal Murray on defense because he's the only one kind of quote unquote incapable of the starting five. As much as Jokic gets kind of belittled for his defense, I find more than like 2 highlights the entire playoffs where he's getting clowned on defense. I know that the Nuggets have better shot quality, but I think Miami has better shot making.
Okay.
They're not as open. Like their buckets are harder. The Nuggets hunt for really, really good looks. They find really good looks, and they have flamethrowers all over the court. Miami's just like, look, dude, 1-on-1, 2-on-1, doesn't matter. This thing's going up, and it's going in. And, Brad, one thing that I think that I know is that Eric Spoelstra is going to run inverted pick and roll with Bam Adebayo. I think that Bam will be the primary ball handler in a lot of these pick and roll sets because this is something Nikola Jokic has only had to defend 31 times this year. Teams don't put him – so he's put in the pick and roll as we're switching, and then you have to pick up the primary ball handler. Like 2,100 times he had to do it this year. 31 times he was the one on the primary ball handler. Who else in the NBA as a center can really run a pick and roll like Bam Adebayo? I think the answer is it's pretty much him. And I think that's a distinct advantage that Miami has that, like, they don't love to run those, but they will. And I think that that's something that the Lakers weren't able to do, the Suns weren't able to do, the Timberwolves weren't able to do, that Jokic just hasn't seen.
That's interesting. I think another thing that could come into play here too is Tyler Hero potentially could return in Game 3 of this series back in Miami. That's something of note because he, in one game this season, scored 26 points on 50% shooting, hit 4 threes out of 9 attempts, had 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Like, he really cooked that defense. Now, it's a one-game sample size. That was in 32 minutes. Here's what's, I think, a little bit more telling. Max Strus had, in 2 games, an average of 21 points per game. He shot the ball 16 and a half times, buried 4 threes per game in those. We saw it. The Lakers were able to hit open threes against the Nuggets. Like, this could be something with the Heat where Strus, or if Duncan Robinson's able to play, like I thought they were able to hide him well against the Celtics. But if they're able to play, Gabe Vincent started heating up. We don't know what Caleb Martin's been able to do. Like, is this going to be one of those series that the role players are able to find themselves again, start hitting shots? Like, it feels like sometimes the Nuggets do give up these threes and these runs. Then all of a sudden you got a confident Heat team again. Or is it going to be one of those things where the Heat were the lowest scoring team in the league? The Heat had the worst 3-point shooting percentage per the points scored in the league this year. Or that's something that I think could really come into play here against the Nuggets team, whose defense has been much better than when we talked about in the last couple of years. Much more focused. It helps that Michael Porter Jr. wants to defend, especially with his length on the perimeter.
Wants to rebound.
So many more. Wants to rebound, causes so many more problems. Bruce Brown is effective and like versatile. So this is a different team when we look at the Nuggets. But that's some things I wanted to point out on the Heat side of things. Now, I'll close with the Nuggets. We can kind of get in this a little bit. This is what's scary, Tyson. I'm looking at this. Now, Nikola Jokic's 2 games against the Heat. He only played 35 minutes. Now, he averaged 23 points a game. You're like, oh, geez, that's not very many. Yeah, but he's shot the ball 14 and a half times and made 10 field goals per game. That's doing the math for the people at home. 69%. He also shot 66.7% from 3, averaged a triple-double with 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and only 1.5 turnovers. Like, it's just crazy.
And this is now him in his best form that we've ever seen. Like, I was joking before the playoffs started, this dude's 30, 10, and 10 every time he steps off the bus. In the playoffs, I think he's averaging like 29.8 12 and 11. So he really is 30, 10, and 10. Brad, one of the most interesting questions to me, who's guarding Jamal Murray? Because I think that Jimmy
Good point.
Butler and Bam Adebayo, if you want to run pick and roll with Murray and Jokic, I think that marriage between those two on defense, the communication, things like that are a little bit better. Do you want Jimmy Butler running and running and running? Because you can't really put Vincent out there. Like, all of them are getting cooked. Martin's getting cooked. Like, if this is the Jamal Murray that just showed up off the bus, you almost don't have a choice. But at what point does Eric Spoelstra make that decision? Because I don't think that you can start the series that way. I think that's a bailout card. Like, that's a get out of jail free. If that's a card you keep in the back pocket, you don't want to walk out game one and be like, "This is how we're playing you."
I completely agree with you. I would not start Butler on Murray. I would probably start Martin on him. Like, listen, we appreciate your offense. Let's see if somebody else can get it going in the series type of thing.
They're going to try to guard him the same way they tried to guard Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson shredded him. But they were able to get through the series because Julius Randle was bad. RJ Barrett's not there yet, all that stuff. The best player in the world is now also on the court. And that makes things a heck of a lot harder than saying, hey, man, we're just going to rotate bodies on this guy. And if he gets 50, he gets 50, because there's somebody else here that is going to be that's your bugaboo. That's your 47% from three at 7 feet tall and 300 pounds. That's your 12 assists a game. That's why I'm saying, you can't play zone against these shooters. And you don't really want to go man to man and switch everything if you're the Heat, because then all of a sudden you have Strus on Jokic in the post and it's free.
Two names to keep an eye on in this series: Bruce Brown, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They were great against the Lakers. I expect them to be great in this series, mainly from looking at what they've done in the two games when they faced the Heat. Brown, 28.9 minutes per game. We know he comes off the bench, but he averaged 14.5 points per game on 10 shots. Hit 5.5 of them, 55%, but 41.7% from three, hitting 2.5. Also adding about 3 boards, couple assists a game. That's kind of where he's at right now. Did he turn the rock? Yeah, two turnovers a game. So he's a negative a flat on the assist turnovers. He's taken much better care of the ball recently, but we know the Heat are just so aggressive in the passing lanes. But KCP, man, 14 points a game. That's in 33.2 minutes. So only shot the ball 6 times, but made 5 of them on 83.3% shooting. Shot 85.7% from three.
Because he's wide open.
He's a sniper. Just a flat-out sniper, and making plays with 4 assists per game in those 2 that he faced off against the Heat. So those are guys to keep an eye on. Then Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to play better. 5 of 13 in the 2 games that he played, 13.5 points, 38.5% from the field, 31.3% from three. That's just not good enough. But this is a kid who's elevated his game. He's taken it to the next level. That's what you expect from these type of players. So keep an eye on those 3 guys. Jamal Murray only played 1 game against the Heat, averaged 14 in that game, or had 14 in that game. Didn't shoot the ball often in that one as well. So I think we're going to see something different. Obviously, Jokic is going to play more. Jokic is going to dominate more, be more of a factor. It's how do the other guys kind of fit into what Michael Malone wants to run on offense and counter what Spoelstra is able to do, whether it's with the 2-3, whether it's with different aspects of the rest of the game, especially on the defensive end as well.
This is Groundhog's Day. This is every single Heat series that we've talked about. Pretty much. It's they don't have the better players. They don't shoot the ball good enough. They don't score. All this stuff, and then they just show up and they just donkey somebody. We're going to beat you up.
Yeah.
Problem for them is Denver is fucking huge. And they're physical in a way that Boston isn't. And I know that Boston's we gave them this rep over the last couple of years that they're tough or whatever, but the Nuggets are legitimately we're crashing everything. We're getting every board. It's 4 or 5 shots a pop sometimes when they're on the offensive end, because Michael Porter Jr. is 12 feet above the ground, snatching these rebounds. Jokic is tipping these things to himself like crazy. Aaron Gordon put back dunks. I don't want to see a Kevin Love sighting, but I don't know how far off we're going to be from that in Miami, because they're going to need size. You can't run 6'8" across the board and play with Denver.
No, because here's your starting lineup: 6'4" Jamal Murray, 6'5" Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 6'10" Michael Porter Jr., where is Aaron Gordon on this list? I don't see him, but I think he's 6'8", 6'9",
6'9" with a 40-inch vert.
And the Jokic 6'11". Like they are huge. Like this is your prototypical NBA basketball team. Like the smallest guy on the floor at all times for him is 6'4".
And they just dominated the biggest team in the league, in the Lakers. Like they made them play small because they made Phoenix play small. They took the Twin Towers in Minnesota. They took them out back and put them out of their misery because they're just, it's a different kind of rebounding. It's a Michael Malone rebounding team. And we only ever get one of those.
So we're going to get into gambling stuff. And I know some people here aren't gamblers and you're like, whatever. So we want to talk, we like to do it where we talk basketball. We talk what we think we're going to see on the court, kind of X's and O's type of stuff, then get into the betting angles and things like that at the end of Money Making Time. So before we turn the page over to there, Tyson, you said it feels like Groundhog's Day. Now I'm going to give you the opportunity to gloat here because I had Celtics in 6. And I was wrong, because I thought if they would have won in Game 7, I could be like, oh, it's just one game off.
So close.
But no, you were right. You said Heat outright. Big underdogs in that one. Are you going back to the well in this one? Do you think the Heat are going to win a championship this season?
I don't, and it sucks because I want them to. I mean, so this is one of the first times in a long time as an NBA fan. Like if you hate Nikola Jokic, it's probably because you're a 76ers fan. And if you hate Jimmy Butler, I don't really know what to tell you. I think
you're probably a 76ers fan.
Yeah, get out and touch grass, basically. Like if you don't like Jimmy Butler, just get off the internet. Dude, it's Boston presented to me just it's a challenge, but it's way different in what the Heat had to conquer. Like we talked about it with Joe Mazzulla and Spo kind of being able to do whatever he wants and throw these kind of counter punches out there that he's never seen. And now all of a sudden we have Michael Malone, the 4th longest tenured head coach for his team, currently in the NBA. He's been around the block a time or two, right? We have the best player in the world. And dude, they're so physical and they score 150 points. Like it's truly ridiculous. Devin Booker had to shoot basically 80% for them to look vulnerable for a minute in this NBA playoffs. That Jimmy Butler's he's not going to come out and shoot 80%. Vincent's maybe. I mean, I was going to say no, but the way he's lighting things up, I don't know. But like you need a supreme shot creator and shot maker. You need rebounding. You need defense. And to be honest, there's one team in the NBA that fits that description, and it's Denver. And they don't have to play against themselves.
I'm concerned about what Adebayo is going to do in this series. I mean, in the 2 games against the Nuggets, he did score 20.5 points a game. The shot 42.9%, which you'll take that. Rebounding, though, 4.5. He did grab 2 off the offensive glass. It's got to be pushing 10.
Has to be pushing 10 if they want a shot. And I said before the Celtics series, the only way that the Heat were going to win is if Bam puts up 15 points or 15 shots a game. And he did that for the first 3, kind of fell off. The team came back to earth and he didn't play great in Game 7, but he has to put pressure on the rim because let's be honest about this. Nikola Jokic has to be in foul trouble if Miami really wants to win this, or you have to run him to death. And the only way to do that is to get an aggressive Bam Adebayo. He's really good, but I don't think he's ready.
The Denver Nuggets are going to be NBA champions this year. They're going to win their first championship in franchise history, and Nikola Jokic is going to be coronated as one of the greatest players that we've seen on the basketball court. He's going to average a triple-double this series. He's going to look unbelievable doing it, and we're going to talk about the Nuggets. Is this the actual next dynasty in the NBA as they get ready for the offseason? That is my prediction.
Honestly, screw the next dynasty talk. Is this the best team we've seen in the last 5 seasons? This team is unreal, dude. They haven't been threatened. Are really good. They haven't been threatened in a month and a half.
Okay, Tyson, we both think the Nuggets are going to win. Let's move into it a little bit here. We got the series bets right now as we start breaking this down, looking at the prices. Because honestly, right now, the prices are absurd. Now, this is a spread. Let me get over to what we're talking about.
You think the Bucks would at least do themselves any favors? The Heat have just been stealing money from them.
Here's the problem. As we're looking at it here, it opened, the books gave the Nuggets minus 360, and it just got bet into an oblivion here at minus 450 as we currently stand. That's a little crazy to me. I mean, that's not going to do us at recreational bettors any good by betting that. But if you like the Heat, like Tyson did against the Celtics, plus 330 is not a bad little chunk of change. You can win back on that. But
No. If
if
you
you
like the
think the
Nuggets, play
Nuggets,
game over game. I mean, that's what they're telling you.
exactly. So let's take a look let's see if we can predict something, Tyson, because we both think that this is going to be a Denver Nuggets series. So as I scroll in here, so if we like Nuggets sweep at that's Nuggets sweep the series plus 480. You like that or no?
No, I think Miami gets one at home.
Denver Nuggets to win in 5 games plus 200.
That's where I'm sitting.
That's where I'm sitting too. And then you like the Denver 4-2 plus 460. I think the only way to look here really is Denver 4-1 at plus 200.
Which is, it's so ridiculous because this could just be a Heat sweep, like the way we talk about this team. But it's just, look, and we can go back up to the first game there. That's something that I think has been remarkable about this Nuggets team is they blew the doors off the Timberwolves to start that series. They beat the Suns by 20 in game 1 of that series. And yes, LA came back and made it a 6-point game at the end of game 1. The Nuggets were up 21. Like that game wasn't close all the way until the end, and then like they found a way to hold on and win by 6 points, I guess. But like they just show up game 1 at home, kill everybody, and so I like they're starting up 1-0 in my mind already, and so to me, then it's can this team go on the road and win? We've seen that answer resoundingly yes, right? We don't know necessarily what we're going to see from Miami, and that's what's kind of interesting because Pat Riley's now been in 25% of all NBA
crazy.
finals throughout history, which is, I think, the coolest stat like you could ever have as a guy. But like they're going to have to pull some magic out of the hat. It's going to have to be Eric Spoelstra channeling his inner Phil Jackson and Pat Riley, just dropping the rings on the table and working some magic because this is the first time in the playoffs where they're severely outmatched. Like they were outmatched against the Bucks.
But they had the coaching advantage,
right? And we were both in agreement. Like I thought they were better than Knicks. I think you thought they were better than Knicks. Mm-hmm. But like they were outmatched against the Celtics, but it wasn't like as drastic because we elevated Jaylen Brown to a point where like he probably wasn't really ready for in the general discussion of things. Jamal Murray's ready for the moment. And I already know Nikola Jokic is going to do whatever he wants to whoever he wants. You have to hide Jamal Murray, but they found a way to stop LeBron James from hunting him. So I think they're going to be okay with whoever the ball handler is on Miami that wants to find him because Kentavious Caldwell-Pope can defend. Bruce Brown can defend. Aaron Gordon can defend. Jokic is a better defender than people give him credit for. Like that's just a recipe for something quick, man.
I completely agree. So I'm gonna be playing that Nuggets to win 4-1 at plus 200. Getting 2-1 odds on that. It's the only way I can really look at it. I see if there's a -1.5 out there, maybe we can scroll through it. That's a little bit safer, just because like, well, what if they sweep? Okay, well, if you think they're going to sweep, I'll just play plus 480, as well. Why don't you sprinkle on that? Or what if it goes 6? Guys, I mean, look at it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to do that. So I'm going to take a shot here. I'm going to play what I think is going to happen. I think the Heat get 1 at home, and that's it. And then I think the Nuggets are going to close this one out quick. We're going to be moving into the offseason. We're going to have some guys in Cancun earlier than expected.
Yeah, that could be. I also liked one above there. Michael Porter Jr. scored 30 points in any game, was plus 1,000. I think that at some point Miami's going to have to try to play the zone because it's whatever they're going to do is not going to work because nothing seems to work when you play the Denver Nuggets. So they're going to have to do something. And when you play against the zone, Brad, you assume like the corners are going to be your vulnerability. Michael Porter Jr. standing up at the top of the key. Miami's going to key on the corners, and MPJ is going to be standing there 26 feet away from the hoop with a full green light. And to me, like this could be – he could score 40 in a game. Like if they're going to invite you to shoot, there's a handful of guys in the NBA that are going to say yes every time, and MPJ is on that list.
Now for the series, I'm playing that with you. There's no way I'm not playing. I love Michael Porter Jr. That's my guy. Are you riding with me? I know you said that's the way you're leaning. Are you making it official? Nuggets 4-1.
Nuggets 4-1. And I will say, if you like the Miami Heat to win the series, like if you have just an insane amount of conviction, I wouldn't even play them to win the series straight up. I would go look through these 4-0, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3 odds for the Miami Heat because you're going to get much better value. Even if you play all 4, than you will off. I mean, look at that.
Yep, look right here. So you like Heat, probably if you like them in 2 or 3, or I'm sorry,
6 or
in
7.
6 or 7, plus 850 or plus 1,000 if you like the Heat that way. I mean, there's no way they sweep. So those odds honestly are horrible.
Yeah.
4-1, gentlemen sweep revert. That's something. But I think if the Heat are really going to do it, it's going to be in 6 or 7, and that's interesting. Interesting proposition there.
I mean, it's twice the return basically is how it boils down to. At plus, what were they, plus 365 to win the series right now? I know it's
Plus
changed a couple
330.
times, 330, but yeah, and we're going to be throwing bets all over this board because the NBA Finals is super fun for this, and it's my favorite because it's not like the NCAA tournament where we always look for the other guy that like
Right.
Spike Albrecht to step up that we haven't really heard of. This is a superstar game. And so, like, Jokic and Murray and Jimmy Butler are going to get as many shots as they want, and nobody's going to tell them otherwise. Like, there's going to be some – Jokic might score 60 in a game.
That would be insane. That would be utterly insane. Now, let's move into the game 1 picks here, Tyson. Our game 1 bets. Let's discuss, kind of what we're looking at here. It opened at Nuggets -8.5, I believe, or Nuggets -8, went up to 8.5. It's currently sitting at Nuggets -9. Now that may be the peak here. It may get back down to 8.5. I think this is where you start looking at rest versus rust. I think this is when you start bringing in the potential of how does the Heat play? How do the Heat play in the altitude? The Nuggets are going to blow their doors off in the second half, different things like that. When you look at the total, it's 219.5. That's a higher clip than what the Celtics and Heat were doing in the middle of their series, which is 214. So that's something to keep in mind on here. Like, where do you lean right now on where the spread is at regarding the game 1?
I mean, I'm comfortable with Denver all the way to 11.5. To be honest with you, I think they're going to get out there and they're going to get after him. And honestly, 9 doesn't scare me very much at all because, like, we were talking about it before the show. Sometimes it's a 7-point game at the end, and we look up somebody won by 15, and you're like, "How did that happen?" Denver just they make it rain, man. I mean, Jokic shooting 47%, the whole team shooting 40+% from 3. They kill people in game 1s. They've had. This is the other part is the Heat knew they were playing the Boston Celtics for the last 2 weeks. The Denver Nuggets were probably looking at this like, okay, we're playing Miami. They're up 3-0. Let's dig into this. They now have an extra week on Eric Spoelstra and company as far as game planning and things like that go. But man, dude, they're just so good in game 1. It's unreal.
I love them to not mess around. I like them -9 as well. I wish I would have got this at 8.5. I sat on my hands for a little bit too long, but screw it. We're doing the show now. It's 9. I didn't get 8.5, so I'm not going to say I got 8.5. I'm getting a worse number, but that's the way it goes.
I need something from you. I just need you to throw down who first basket and how.
Well, okay. I'm trying to figure out if I can get in the second half here, but first basket. Let's see. Method of first basket or just in general?
Yeah, let's go method of first basket.
Method of first basket.
I have I must have had a dream or something, but I have a conviction here. I want to see where you're at.
Ooh, man. Okay, so I'm going to guess that the Nuggets win the tip. So that's primarily, so it's going to be Murray with the ball in his hand. What about an Aaron Gordon dunk?
That could be interesting. I'm at Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. 3-pointer.
Where is my guy at? Where's MPJ? Where is he? Michael Porter Jr. 3-point field goal plus 1,800. So they're like, yeah, you're not going to get much. I mean, compare that to the Nikola Jokic layup, and it's just like $3 a juice. I think they have the same dream as you.
Maybe. I mean, to me, I think they're going to come down. Miami's going to try to collapse on Jokic as he flashes to the post, leave a shooter open. Murray finds him, and it's going to be Michael Porter Jr.
Contavious Caldwell-Pope 3-point bomb to start.
All this is going to be so funny when they miss, and then it's like Max Strus free throw.
Yeah, it's just something ridiculous. Yeah, there you go. Plus 15.
And I hate the first basket markets. I never, ever play them.
Oh, yeah.
Something about the first game of the NBA Finals, I got to get a little sprinkle.
Yeah, might as well. Now, I'm going to see if there's a second half line here, Tyson. Second half winner. Give me the market. Okay. So they're only giving winner, which is -200. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to be playing Nuggets in the second half spread. Like, I don't care what it is. The altitude is going to really hurt the Heat in the second half. I wish that market was out right now, but I know the Heat were exceptional in the second half against the Celtics. This is one of the worst spots that you can imagine for a team. Like immediate turnaround, have to go on the road, play a team who's been waiting for them. Then all of a sudden, your legs, I don't care if they're there early. They flew over there. Like you're going to have to actually play an NBA game now. Like that's scary to me. Now, I was going to do first quarter, Tyson, but then I kind of thought about the rest versus rust. They're all pumped up that the Heat are. Okay, let's see if we can try to steal this first one. Then we're good. Then we can rest game 2. And so maybe they come out with their hair on fire, and I'm looking at 2.5. I'm like, man, that's a lot. So I'm going to stay away from that one. That may be a game 2 play for me, though.
I think that there's a good chance that in game 1, Denver has one of those Denver Nuggets 40-point quarters. And
okay.
Because Miami Heat's defense is awesome. It just doesn't matter who they're playing against. Like the shots go up and the shots go in, and the quality of shots is immaculate no matter what. I don't know what quarter it's going to be, and I don't feel comfortable enough to just pick one. But it's uncanny. It's Warriors-esque in their ability to just be like, all right, we're sick of playing around. We're just going to score 40 in this quarter, 38, and call it. That's what they did to Phoenix. It was a close game 6 until it wasn't. That's what they did to the Lakers. That's what they did over and over again to the Timberwolves. It seemed like 16 quarters in a row they could score however many they wanted. But look, dude, it's sad because I'm cheering for Miami, I think. But honestly, like Nikola Jokic is going to cement himself as the best European player of all time sooner or later. So might as well get it out of the way.
29.5 for the first quarter team total for the Nuggets, juiced under. So there's a little disagreement with Tyson, but who knows? Like there was disagreement against the freaking Heat all of last series. So I mean, these aren't necessarily end all be all. Now, I think if we just want to look at some props real quick, just kind of see how they look. Now, Tyson, if you can't, I'm gonna try to zoom in as much as possible. So if you can't see them, give me a yell here. But I mean, some of the bigger names that we can look at and just kind of see where we're at. Like Gabe Vincent, that's gonna be a popular name. Caleb Martin, 16.5 juiced under. I actually think he's gonna have a regression in this one. So kind of giving you a little hint here. I don't know if I'm gonna play that immediately, but where are the big boys? There we go. There we go. So Jimmy 27.5, Jokic 27.5, minus 120. I think that could be a big play that I'm gonna have. Murray 25.5. I think I may be looking at Michael Porter Jr. over 15.5 to just get this thing started.
I think Michael Porter Jr. and Nikola Jokic are the best values on the board. I mean, Jimmy Butler's awesome, but Jimmy Butler can score 22 and be awesome. It's like he's not really Jason Tatum in the way that like he's just going to go get 50 on somebody. Like if Jimmy gets 50, you can normally tell pretty quick if Jimmy's going to get 50. It's never really like a third quarter explosion for him. Aaron Gordon's one that I would check just because, again, I'm not sure necessarily how the defense is going to look on Aaron Gordon, whether the Miami Heat are never susceptible to back cuts, but they never have to play against like Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and the spacing and all that. Everything is so different than who you play in the East. Like this Nuggets team is the epitome to me of Western Conference basketball, of what that's turned into over the last 7 years or 8 years, whenever kind of Golden State started doing it. But the East wants to pack the paint and get in a fist fight. The West is like, we'll spread you out. Come get us. You gotta contend with these guys. Man, maybe KCP at plus 100 if they want to throw a zone at somebody to score 3 threes and a couple free throws could be a look.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have a lot more of that in the Chalkboard app, which Tyson will tell you about at the end here. But any other game one bets you want to get into before I give us a little bonus out here in Money Making Time?
No, I want the bonus, man. I think the people need it.
All right, we'll get it. Let's get into the bonus then here. So let me switch over from the hardwood to the ice, baby. Because if you guys aren't familiar or don't know what's going on, we got the NHL playoffs and the Stanley Cup going on at the same time. So if you're like, oh man, there's so many days off in between, culture yourself a little bit for our neighbors up north, and let's indulge a little bit of hockey here, because this is going to be a 6 series, I think. Now you got the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Obviously, the Golden Knights, an expansion team. That place is electric when they have a home game there. Florida Panthers are an 8 seed, just like the Miami Heat. I think their Cinderella story ends here. I'm taking the Vegas Golden Knights at minus 135. I like them. Their captain, not necessarily their best player, but Stone has been unbelievable this year. When he plays, they're a completely different team. Jack Eichel came over from the Buffalo Sabres. He's been exceptional for him. Didn't even really score. I don't even think he scored a goal against the Dallas Stars. I think that's going to change against the Panthers. But Bobrovsky, the Panthers goalie, he stood on his head all playoffs. I think that flips on this one. Like, he showed his age a little bit. Maybe he's going to do one of these magical runs that we've seen from some of the goaltenders in the past. But I think that changes. And the Golden Knights have the mojo going right now. At minus 135 on home ice to start, this screams a play for me. And so, of course, I'm going to have to double down on that, Tyson. This is the series price. Let me talk about game one. Minus 130. Are you freaking kidding me? Give me that all day. Let's start it off right. You want to talk about rust? Panthers have been off. They swept. Vegas, looked like they were going to sweep. Then they lost 2 games and just absolutely blitzed the Stars a couple days ago, 6-0 in a decider on the road ice. Give me Vegas game one. Give me Vegas in the series. And honestly, if I was actually smart and looked before this, I could probably get a little a builder, like let me see, game one final result. See if I can get that. But what do you think about that, Tyson? You going to ride Vegas with me?
I love it. And no, I'm not. But that's just because personally, I think it'd be really funny if the most successful out the gate expansion team in the history of pro sports loses twice in the Stanley Cup Finals before they get it moving. But I mean, if that's a team that you like at minus 135 to win, I mean, that's a joke. Really. I mean, imagine we were going into this and it's Nuggets. I guess the Nuggets are kind of unfair as far as the comparison goes, but like the 8 seed to the 8 seed, it's just the prices in hockey you're going to find way better value.
Plus 135. If you like what I like, Knights to get it off started right in game one to win, and then win the entire, lift the cup, plus 135 there. I might play all 3. I know it's stupid. I should just play. You know what? I'm just going to play the plus 135. I'm not going to be an idiot, but I will be playing the Knights to win just in case game one doesn't go as it should.
So what he's actually saying is he's going to play the Nuggets game one with the Knights game one and then parlay those and have to sweat for a couple extra hours. Because if I know Bradley, what he just said is in one ear and out the other of his own head, and he's gonna try to scoop some value where he can find it. And I think that'll be fine. But if you want those picks, they will be in the Chalkboard app. The group name is ISWIS, the Roundtable Bets. I said what I said, the Roundtable Bets, a little homage to our roots here, but it's in the Chalkboard app. It's on the App Store. It's on Google Play, wherever you download your apps. It's just a little community of us in there talking shit to each other, just trying to find value on the board. We've got everything you can think of. We've hit a bit of a cold streak as far as golf goes, but that's probably the most fun one to look at, because if you're not a golf bettor, your mind will be blown at some of these numbers that get thrown around in there. But we got the NBA draft coming up. We obviously have the NBA finals here. We have the NHL finals. We've got NFL markets opening. We've got college football markets opening. So now is really the time to get in there and start placing your season longs if you have any conviction on these things. And not to pat ourselves on the back or anything like that, but we had a really good year last year with season longs in both the NFL, especially in college football. I think that's probably the top that we've ever done there. So if you want to tail those picks, do it, because we've been holding LSU over tickets for about 2 months now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the link is also, if you're watching us on YouTube, that's in our bio now, or in the description as well. So you can just click that, boom, you're right in. So feel free to do that. But in the meantime, we got a ton of content coming out. Like, we're not just betting it, like we're previewing it, like we're doing for the NBA Finals stuff. Like, we like to talk about it and help each other out. Now, if I listened to Tyson last year, I wouldn't have been an idiot and bet Nebraska and freaking Northwestern. But sometimes
Brad could have hit 80%. He could have hit 80%, but he didn't. And it wasn't listening to me. It was just you gotta fade yourself. Sometimes it's the girl you can't go back to, Brad. Nebraska football is that girl for you.
And it sucks because Matt Rule's back, so I'm definitely going to bet him not this upcoming year, but the next year. I'm not going to be able to help myself. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. But in the meantime, follow us on our social media pages, our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikTok. It's all under the same handle now, at ISWIS_pod. Nice and easy. Feel free to communicate with us on there. We got a ton more content, just little short stuff. anything that you want to know or like questions about, you can feel free to just hit us up there. In the meantime, though, with the show, like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching us on YouTube, smash that like button. It helps us become more discoverable, helps a small growing channel like us really kind of climb up the ranks. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, go ahead and rate. That helps us climb the charts. If you send in a question, we'll answer it for you on this podcast. So if you're dying to know something, if you're wondering where I got these headphones, wondering where Tyson Allen's sick hats, like, we'll answer it on here. So feel free to send that in, and we'll definitely make you part of the show. So we got, gosh, man, I mean, we've been teasing NFL stuff coming up. I mean, we can talk about college football stuff, but we will have another show later this week. So don't you worry. We're getting ready. I'm starting to strap on the shoulder pads and helmet here soon, Tyson. I can't wait.
Yeah, and just one quick thing there. I mean, we do these division by division, conference by conference. So if you know, you're like, how the heck am I going to listen to 390 teams and figure out what to do? They're shorter little snippets, kind of more digestible for everybody. But we got to get on that, man. We got a couple of months here till week 0.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. So we'll have that for you guys. Again, we appreciate the support as always, and we will speak to you all soon. Peace.